Most people think the best leaders have better answers. But the truth is simpler and more uncomfortable. The best leaders have a better relationship with uncertainty. Because uncertainty isn't a temporary inconvenience. It's the permanent climate of leadership. If you're waiting for perfect information, you're not being careful. You're being late. Practical thinking for leaders who want clarity, not noise. Today, I'll give you a practical framework for how strong leaders decide when the data is incomplete, the stakes are real, and the room wants certainty you cannot honestly provide. This isn't about being fearless. It's about being structured. 1. Start by naming the uncertainty out loud. Weak leaders hide uncertainty because they think it makes them look fragile. Strong leaders name it because it makes the team smarter. So the first step is simple. State what you know. State what you don't know. State what you're assuming. Here's what this sounds like in real life. We know demand is growing in this segment. We don't know if our sales cycle will shorten. We're assuming retention stays stable while we scale. When you do this, two things happen. 1, your team stops pretending. 2, your decision becomes testable. Because once an assumption is named, it can be challenged or validated. And this is the shift. Under uncertainty, you're not deciding the future. You're deciding what to test next. 2, decide the type of decision before you decide the decision. Most leaders make the same mistake. They treat all decisions as if they're the same. They aren't. Ask this first. Is this decision reversible or irreversible? Reversible means you can unwind it with limited damage. Irreversible means it locks you in. Reputation, people, strategy, long-term contracts. If it's reversible, the right move is usually decide fast, learn fast, adjust fast. If it's irreversible, the right move is slow down, pressure test, and reduce downside. Under uncertainty, speed isn't the goal. Appropriate speed is the goal. 3. Use probabilities, not binary thinking. Uncertainty breaks leaders because they secretly want a yes or no world. Will it work? Will it fail? But reality is not binary. It's probabilistic. So strong leaders shift the question from "is this right?" to "what are the odds this is right? And what would change those odds?" Try this. I think option A has a 70% chance of improving growth, but only if onboarding stays tight. Option B is a safer 55%, but slower. Option C is a learning bet, 40%, but it teaches us the most. That style of thinking does two powerful things. It forces honesty, and it prevents the team from treating a forecast like a guarantee. Leaders don't promise outcomes. They promise a responsible process. 4. Build decisions around downside protection. In uncertainty, the goal is not to be right. The goal is to not be wrecked. So ask, what's the cost of being wrong? Then design the decision so being wrong is survivable. This is how leaders think in bets. What's the smallest step that gives us real information? What's our stop loss? What's the trigger that tells us to double down? What's the trigger that tells us to quit? A practical tool here is a two-way door, one-way door rule. Two-way door, take the step. One-way door, add protections, phased rollout, pilot, guardrails, legal review, staged hiring. You're not avoiding risk. You're shaping risk. 5. Create learning loops with deadlines. The biggest hidden cost under uncertainty is not making a wrong decision. It's making a vague decision with no review point. So leaders set learning loops. A learning loop is simply decision, metric, deadline, next action. Example, we're launching this offer to 10% of users. Success equals a 15% lift in conversion without raising churn. We review in 14 days. If it hits, we scale. If it misses, we cut or revise. This turns uncertainty into motion, and motion creates information. Without learning loops, you get something worse. Drift, opinions, endless debate. 6. Communicate the decision like a leader. Under uncertainty, teams don't just need the decision, they need the logic, so they can execute without panic. Use this structure. Here's the decision. Here's why. Here are the assumptions. Here's what we're watching. Here's when we revisit. This is calm authority, and it prevents the worst leadership habit in uncertainty, pretending confidence, and then quietly changing direction later. When you communicate assumptions and review points, changing course doesn't look like weakness. It looks like competence. 7. The real test. Can you decide without self-protection? Here's the part no one says out loud. Many leaders don't fear being wrong. They fear being seen as wrong. So they stall, or they over-control, or they outsource the decision to consensus. But leadership is not consensus. Leadership is responsibility. A strong leader can say, "This is our best decision with what we know today. We'll learn, we'll adjust, and I'm accountable." That sentence alone changes the culture. So here's the framework to remember. Name the uncertainty. Classify the decision. Think in probabilities. Protect the downside. Build learning loops. Communicate assumptions and review points. And own the call. Uncertainty doesn't go away, but chaos does. When your thinking has structure. Practical thinking for leaders who want clarity, not noise.